All right, in this video, we're going to be talking about a car loan. So, buying a car, which is very similar to buying a house. So, let's get started. All right, here's the big idea. All right, so the big idea, and I'm just kind of giving you some, just a, just kind of throwing some numbers together. All right, so let's say, for example, you want to buy a car for $20,000. Well, there's two ways that you can look at it. All right, so the first way is this, and that is if the car is worth $20,000, you could pay in cash, meaning you can actually write a check for $20,000. Okay. And so what that means is it would cost you literally $20,000. Okay. But, and I've said this in other videos, and that is when, when you borrow money, when you borrow money, you pay it back and then some more. All right. Explanation points. All right. So when you borrow money, you're going to pay it back and then some more in interest. So here's another situation. Again, I'm just kind of playing with some numbers here. So like for example, again, let's say the car is worth $20,000, but then all of a sudden, it says here you make a small down payment. So let's say, for example, you make a down payment of like $5,000, which means you're going to have to borrow $15,000. So when you pay that money back, you're going to be paying some more. So after it's all said and done, at the end of the loan, you're actually paying $25,000 for the car. Very similar to a house. Whenever you borrow money, it's going to cost you more. So let's say, for example, you make a big down payment. All right, so you made a small down payment, that's one option, or you can make a big down payment. Let's just say the big down payment was $10,000. So you put $10,000 down, and then you decide to finance the rest. Well, again, whenever you, here it is up here, whenever you borrow money, you're going to pay it back and then some more. So when you finish paying everything back, you actually end up spending $22,000 for a car that's for 20. All right. So again, the big idea, when you borrow money, you're going to pay it back. All right. So here we go. When borrowing money, here's just a couple things. We've already talked about it here. The more you borrow, the more you pay in interest. Now, here's also a situation that is the longer your car loan is, the more you pay in interest. So when you go and buy a car, you have options on how long you can finance the car. And I don't even know if they even do 1 year or not. You 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, 6 year. All right. So 6 years, uh, paying off a car loan is going to give you more in interest than, or you're going to be paying more in interest than you would if it's a 1 year. All right. So again, just what we kind of talked about at the beginning, and that is the less you borrow, the less you pay in interest, and the less time that you borrow the money, the less you pay in interest. All right. So, questions to consider. Again, buying a car is very similar to buying a house. You do have to consider these things. So, like for example, is it better to buy new or buy old? All right. So, is it better to buy new or old? All right. Now, typically, buying new will have a higher price. But again, it's a new car, so you know that you'd be the only owner or the first uh, owner here. All right, now kind of going back to the house thing, is it better to have a payment of $1,000 for 30 years or 1,500 over 15 years? Again, answers are going to vary on this, but typically, like we said before, a shorter loan will pay less interest over time. So the faster you pay it off, the less you actually have to pay in interest. Is it, and so to take this back to a car, is it better to have a car payment of $220 for 5 years or 350 for 3 years? Again, just like having a house, the more you borrow, the longer you borrow the money, the more you're going to pay back in interest. And again, we've already kind of talked about this. Is it better to buy now or wait until you have a uh, amount of money to put on a down payment? So again, answers will vary on that, but we'll keep going. All right, so here we go. You went to a car dealership and bought a car for 15,000. Unfortunately, you had to take out a loan for the car, and the monthly payments were 290. If the length of the loan is 5 years, after 5 years, how much have you paid for the car? All right, so very simply, you're paying $250 a month. All right, every month for 30 years. All right, so mathematically, this is what you're going to do. And we've done this with housing, so this is not going to be too difficult here. 290 times 12 months a year times 5 years. All right. So when you do the math, 290 times 12 times 5, you would have actually paid, and I think I have the answer right here, $17,400. So again, wrap your brain around the fact that the car itself was 15,000, but because of the fact that you had to borrow money, you actually ended up spending an additional $2,000 just because you had to borrow the money. For the next one, it says you were buying a car. You're buying a car at the base price. Now, this is kind of just a actually a review question from a while back. It says you're buying a car, base price of the car is 20,000. He wants to add 5,000 options. The car lot is charging him $250 dock fee. All right, so this here is very similar to what we did before from the last unit. So the base price of the car is 20,000 plus 5,000. That's going to give you a or a sticker price of 25,000, and then you would multiply the TAVT, which is 0.07. That's going to give you the tax. All right. So at this point in time, you're going to take the tax, you're going to add it back to the 25,000, and then notice it has doc fees. Remember, the doc fee is just a documentation fee, and a title fee, same thing. So you're just going to tack on the 250, and you're going to tack on the 125 after you add back the tax, which gives you an answer of 27,125. All right. Now, let's actually get more into the meat of the actual lesson here, and that is Brian's car is becoming unreliable and he needs to get another one. He looked at his finances and he determined he has two options. Option number one, he could buy the car now and he'll have a down payment of $1,000. Or option two, he could wait and buy the car next year and he will save and he will save throughout the year and have a down payment of $5,000. All right. So it's either buy now or wait a year or so and put a larger down payment. Either way, he cannot pay for it all at once. So again, so like this first blanket says, keep in mind if Brian paid cash for the car, how much would it cost? Well, if he paid cash for the car, it cost him $15,000. But unfortunately, he can't do that. That's not one of his options. So we have to. So basically, it's a question of does he do a smaller down payment or larger down payment? All right. So let's see. So option number one, will how much will Brian have to borrow to get the car? Well, the car's worth 15,000. He's putting $1,000 payment down, so that means he's going to borrow 14,000. All right. Now using the monthly mortgage payment formula. All right. I think I have it on the worksheet. It is right here. I had to fast forward to this right here. So the monthly, this guy right here. All right. So we're going to use this. Remember how we set this up, and that is we have two things that we're going to do. We're going to do the numerator, we're going to use the denominator, we're going to get some numbers, and then we're going to divide the two. All right? So here we go. All right, typing it in exactly how I would in my calculator. So he's borrowing 14,000, parenthesis, 0.03 divided by 12, close parenthesis, 1 plus 0.03 divided by 12, close parenthesis, caret, 12. Now this is a 3-year loan, and my numerator, because that's what I did, is going to be, all right, so my numerator is going to be 59.02456,472. All right, now remember, on the new rounding, just to make sure we're all clear on this, you are going to take the first three numbers after the decimal and everything else gets scratched out. All right, so we're not rounding, we're just taking the first three numbers. All right, there we go. Ooh, I got a different number here. Oh, I know why. Put the wrong years in. Oops. Sorry. I'm doing this different on my calculator here. There it is. Sorry, you're probably yelling into the screen right now. So sorry about that. Let me try this again. All right. Sorry, I can't give you back your 30 seconds of your life here. There it is. That's the answer right there. And we're going to scratch out everything but the 3 here, which gives us 67,752. All right, my denominator Again, typing it in just like I would, it would be 1 plus, and see, I knew where I got it wrong here. Hold on, let me go back here. It's not 3%. I'm going way too fast here. 5% for a 3-year loan. Okay, I got the year loan. Okay. Obviously, what I'm typing in is not the exact same as 0.05. Oop, I see another mistake where I saw it. Oops. Now you might be asking, why don't I just make a new video? Because I don't want to. That's why. All right. So I'm going to fix that numerator in a second because I just see where I messed up. 0.161472231. And this is where I messed up. That's not 3%, it's 5%. Sorry. Answer right, what I typed down was wrong. Sorry. So remember, keep the first three here, and I'm going to scratch out everything beyond it. So let's see if my answer is right. 161, good. Awesome. All right, well, at least I got that right. All right, and then once you have your numerator, you're going to divide by your denominator, and then we're going to round to the nearest whole dollar for my monthly mortgage payment. It is $421. Now remember, $421 per month for the next 3 years. Okay, so it says how much money has Brian paid the bank? All right, so what we're going to do is he's paying $421 for 12 months for 3 years. Okay, that's going to give you your number, but also remember the down payment. All right, so he made a down payment of $1,000. Remember, this question just tells us how much money has he given the bank. All right, so how much money has he given the bank for this whole transaction, so to speak? All right, you're going to get an answer of, if I get my work, there it goes, 16,156. So how much over did Brian pay above the total purchase price? Well, at the end of the transaction, 16,156. The car's worth 15,000. So if I did this correctly, it should be 1,156, and I'm good. All right. So if Brian only made a $1,000 down payment, he would actually be spending an additional $1,156. All right. Now for option two, how much will Brian have to borrow to get his car? Um, so if for option two, he had a down payment of 5,000, which means he's going to borrow 10,000. All right. Now because of time, I'm going to go ahead and kind of speed up. We're doing the monthly mortgage payment again, except now we're doing the 10,000. All right. But because of time, I'm going to speed up because it's literally the same exact thing we did. The numerator ends up being 48,394. The denominator ends up being 0.161. And of course, we're going to divide my numerator by denominator. And what is the monthly mortgage payment? It ends up being 301. So again, wrap your brain around. He made a larger down payment, so he paid more at the beginning, but notice he's paying less every month. So if you go back, here he's $421, but that's with a down payment of only 1,000. He didn't put a lot of money up front. He put more money in option two, and he's actually going to be saving money every single month. So let's see how much money he's going to pay back the bank. So just like we did last time, 301 times 12 times, I believe it's a 5-year loan, is it? Nope, sorry, I messed that up. 3-year loan. All right, I'm going to get a number. And remember, I add the down payment, 5,000. Okay, so again, how much money has Brian paid the bank based on this entire transaction? 15,836, which means if Brian has paid 15,836, the car's worth $15,000. He still had to borrow money, but he's not having to spend as much. Look at that. He only spent an additional $836. So the larger the down payment, you can see you're actually paying less in the long run. So yes, you are paying more in the front end because you're making a larger down payment, but in the grand scheme of things, in the long run, you're actually paying less money. All right. Now the last thing, and that is what is called gap insurance. All right, so gap insurance is basically insurance. Now it is optional, but I think if you're borrowing money, I think I say optional, and I kind of use that in air quotes here. It's probably going to be more mandatory, especially if you're borrowing money, because of the fact that when you borrow money, and if you wreck the car, the bank is like, wait a minute, I still need to get paid. All right, so how it works is John's truck was totaled in an accident. He bought the truck for $20,000, and he still had, here we go, $18,000 left to pay on it. So he only paid on it just a little bit. The insurance company wrote John a check for 15,000. All right, so think about it. He still owes $18,000. He received a check for 15,000. So obviously there's a discrepancy here in the sense of the check from the insurance company did not cover everything that he still owed. So look at this first question. If John did not have gap insurance, how much would he still have to pay? Well, he would be on the hook for the difference between how much he owed and what he received a check on. He would be on the hook for $300 or $3,000. Now, if John did have gap insurance, how much would he be responsible for? Zero. He wouldn't have to pay it back. He wouldn't have to pay the difference because what the gap does is literally fill the gap between how much money you owe and how much money the insurance company gives you for the car if you so totaled it. All right. So thank you for watching. I hope that taught you something, and then we'll talk to you later. Bye bye.